It's time to dad.
Yes, sometimes Jason plays really loud sound effects. It's deafening.
It's because I can't hook it up to the fucking.
Well,
the
get it
screen like
going.
I'm
Get it
supposed
going.
to. Well, now
All
that
right,
we have this, it might be easier.
Yeah. So I'll do the intro. I'm recording, by the way. I'll do the intro, and then Brad, I'll just pass it off to you. If you just want to, a minute, 2 minutes, just a really high level like overview of yourself and what you're about. And then I'll just kind of get a feel for when you're about done, and I'll take over and start the check-in.
Perfect.
Cool. All right, I'm recording. Everybody ready? Anybody need to blow their nose, hawk a loogie, whatever? All right. Hey guys. Ooh. I got to redo it now. Although I could have just edited that audio out. Hey guys, welcome back to Time to Dad. It's been a hot minute since we have released an episode, and there's a reason for that. A couple of us were dealing with a little bit of burnout. We were dealing with a little bit of scheduling conflicts due to work and obviously the nature of the beast. And being a dad has caused a little bit of heartburn for the recording time. So we have again reached out and brought on a few more dads. And tonight, Brad here is one of our newest dads that we brought onto the podcast. So I'll give him a couple minutes to kind of introduce himself and let you guys know a little bit about him and what he's about. Brad?
Yeah, absolutely. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be doing this with y'all. Like Nick said, my name is Brad. I am from right outside of Atlanta. And I've got 3 daughters. So definitely a girl dad, and I love it. But I have been in the insurance, kind of in the business world for the past couple of years. So building relationships within that. And then also I have been recently back at school. So taking a little time to go back to school and kind of explore some things. But was also in the military, was in the Marine Corps for 4 years, got out, went back to school, took some time off. So just been enjoying recently kind of being a dad and hanging out with my 3 girls, and really getting some time over the summer to hang out and do different things with them. So appreciate the opportunity to be here and excited to kind of use this platform to explore different options.
Sweet, man. Well, welcome. I feel like we're slowly becoming a military podcast. We have 4 guys now that either are currently active in the military or have been in the military, which is pretty sweet. I kind of hold the military near and dear to my heart. So we appreciate what you guys do, and you guys always have some awesome insights that regular civilian dads don't always have to deal with the scenarios you guys do or the situations. And so it's always sweet to hear it from that perspective of things. So it's been a hot minute since we've done an episode. I wanted to do a check-in, and Brad, I think you've heard one on one of our other episodes, but the reason these check-ins came about is I started a leadership program through my engineering firm, and the woman that was hosting the program, every few classes when we'd meet, she'd basically start with a check-in. It was just kind of like a cool icebreaker, kind of a get the wiggles and jiggles out and the uneasiness of, because a lot of what we did was group presentation type stuff or talking to people. So there were some people in the groups that maybe weren't comfortable with that. But I just thought it was a cool concept of just random spitballing questions at people and kind of having to answer on the fly. So we'll do one of these real quick. And I don't have a question yet, but I think I'm going to start with let's talk. What's your biggest dad challenge right now, Jason? What's hankering you, giving you the trouble?
Hankering me, giving the trouble. That's very. I like the way that
dad related now.
That just
not just life, but specifically dad related.
Oh, dad. Yeah. Well, I mean, it's funny because I think Tails out of school, and I'll tell you the truth. I had a weird instance at work, which I mean, I do it like a different job. You know, I do sales, so there's a little more like nonsense that's prohibited, or I mean, nonsense that's like accepted, honestly, in certain instances. But I was a little mad today at work, and I went home early. You know, not like in a bad way. Like talked to the manager and was like, you know, we can come and go, you know, as we please as needed in certain instances. So I went home early, and my whole process on that was that I just don't see my kids enough, and I wanted to see them, which is, you know, acceptable. But I, I don't know. So background for Brad. So I mean, I don't know if I explained it in when we did any kind of other meetup off air, but I have two very young kids, 2.5 and 1. So like it's an adventure, 2 boys, and so you know, the 2.5-year-old is potty training. He's like super smart, which is backfiring big time. You know, like thought that I wanted him to be super smart, but he's testing me hard.
It's got you figured out.
Yeah, man. So yeah, he's 2.5, and he's way smarter than I probably was at about 10. But no, so he messes with me for sure, and I, you know, but I wanted to come home and see them because I don't see them a lot. I do a sales job, and I think it's ironic because you miss it and you're like, oh, I need the time with my kids. And then I get my extra 4 hours with my kids or whatever for the day. And I'm just so exhausted dealing with my kids.
Yeah.
You know, they're just, they're great. I mean, you don't trade those moments, but man, is it a lot of work between the messes they make when they're eating and not listening and, you know, throwing stuff at their little brother who's literally a baby. He doesn't even crawl. I mean, he can crawl around a little bit, but he's very small. He just sits there and just takes the pelting if Russell wants to throw something at him. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard to balance the joy and all the time you want to spend with your kids and the exhaustion that you feel when you're chasing them around at that age. But it's a good kind of problem to have. But I'm trying to get past that part of where you get mad at the kids. But I don't want to turn into my dad. Like my wife said something pretty profound about that. It's like, I don't want to turn into my dad who just yelled at me about everything at a certain point because he just lost it. Like he just couldn't deal with how much of a smart ass I really was, you know, and testing him all the time. But my wife's like, that's what they do. It's like an animal or anything else. Like they're trying to assert a certain level of like control over their surroundings, like a pack leader, and they're children. You don't think of it, but that's what they're doing. Mm-hmm. Like they're trying to control their environment by testing every limit they can. And then you got to balance that with like, how do you react and what's the best way to be like, no, you're actually not in control. You're like that big and like, this is our house and you got to do everything a certain way, but still cultivate personality and freedom. I think that's being a dad in like a 10-minute summation, but that's my check-in. It's hard.
I'll tell you, I was going to let Brad go, but I'm going to cut in front of him because it relates to what you just said. So my struggle right now is exactly what you had just said, where I was yelled at a lot as a kid. And yes, being a fucking adult, I can look back and say, I got yelled at a fucking lot because I was a little shithead. But at the same time, I catch myself getting, you know, loud with my son, and I'm kind of like, fuck, I don't want to do that. And I'm not saying that getting yelled at as a kid had a direct effect on me or, you know, a negative effect, whatever it may be. I think it was a neutral effect. I did stupid shit. I did shit I wasn't supposed to. I got yelled at. It's a consequence is the way I look at it now. But at the same time, I don't like getting loud with my son, but sometimes, I mean, my wife she can get loud with him when he's just fucking throwing a tantrum and maybe he's hitting her or whatever the hell he's doing. but for the most part, she's like the calm, somber, like trying to calm him down, trying to soothe him. And sometimes I just have to go in with the loud voice because that's just what gets his attention. And I don't have to yell at the top of my lungs, but I have to go in at a volume that essentially shocks him out of whatever the frick he happens to be flipping out about. And the biggest challenge is not just that for me, but the biggest challenge we've been dealing with is trying to get him ready for bed. And he can go upstairs. He can be so freaking happy to get in bed. And then something as simple as, all right, time to get on the pajamas can trigger him, and he will just fucking lose it. And we haven't figured out how to reel him back in, how to calm him down. It's like once he just decides that he doesn't want to put pajamas on. I mean, it's almost like the Ferber method that we have to do sometimes. He just gets so goddamn worked up. There's no way to console him. Talking quietly and sweetly to him doesn't do jack shit. Trying to, find something to take his attention off, like a game or make him giggle, doesn't work. And so that's been the biggest struggle for my wife and I, is just trying to figure out how to help him regulate his, because we don't want to be the parents that are like, oh, do you have big feelings? And I mean, if that's you as a parent, cool, like that's your jam. But I don't think teaching a kid that feelings are okay is what I want to do in our house and for our son. And so part of what we've been trying to do is just to let him sort that shit out and realize he can scream his damn lungs out and throw a tantrum. And at the end of the night, he's not going to get what he wants. He's just going to be exhausted. And so part of what we do is kind of that method. And then part of what we do is just trying to have almost like an adult conversation with him to help him do like a root cause analysis of why the hell he's even having the temper tantrum in the first place, in the hopes that he'll realize, oh yeah, like putting my pajamas on really didn't warrant, having a nuclear meltdown right before I go to bed. And so not to drag that out any longer, because I think that kind of topic, what Jason and I just talked about, could be a whole episode in and of itself. But that's my struggle is keeping my calm when it's, multiple nights a week where we're having to deal with this. You're already exhausted by the end of the day. And then also just try, like you said, Jason, trying not to let them be in control. Right. But to give them some say in what is happening. And I don't know. That has been the biggest hurdle we've come to so far. And like you kind of said, you look back on you deal with these bad things as a dad, but Jason, I know you've got younger kids, but by the time they're 5, you won't remember a damn thing about, all the little fits they threw, all the shit they break, when they're 2 and 3. By the time they're 5, you'll be past that and you'll just have the happy memories. So I guess the thing I say to dads in that situation, you just got to grind through it and know it won't, it won't be a memory of your past that haunts you. It'll just be something you grow and move past, and you'll remember the good stuff, and then you'll run into new hurdles that you have to get over that steal your attention away. So, but anyway, Brad, how about you?
Yeah. So the struggles that I've dealt with myself and my wife recently are different from y'all's, mainly in the fact that, like I said, I've got 3 girls, right? And my oldest is just going into 2nd grade, and then my middle daughter, she's going into kindergarten. So she's going into elementary school for the first time. And I think it is just a little bit different with like dads and daughters, because not that you aren't protective of, sons and, things like that, but just with like a dad and his daughters, you're going to be super protective, right? So they're getting into that stage where, you can't control everything that goes on, right? Like little kids are going to be mean at some point in time, right? Mm-hmm. And so where I want to, protect them from everything that I possibly can, at some point I've got to let them experience some of the things that are out there, right? Not everybody's going to be nice in the world, right? Not everybody's just going to, say nice things. And it's been pretty simple so far. I mean, nothing horrible has happened, but I think as dads, I mean, one of our biggest fears, at least for myself, is like that first time that my kid gets really hurt and like I can't do anything about it, right? Like I can't control it. I can control the environment when they're at home, but as soon as they step out that door, unless, you know, I'm going to walk them to their classroom every day, which half the time I want to, but you know, it's like them coming home from school and telling me, you know, some kid did this. And, you know, my first question to my daughter that went into kindergarten, we had a situation, not a huge deal, but some kid said something and I was like, what kid was it? I mean, I was going to talk to somebody's, you know, parent and be like, look, you need to control your kid. But ultimately, it's just kind of finding that balance of, you know, not being the helicopter parent, but still protecting them as much as I possibly can and letting them know that these things are going to happen along the way, right? It's not all going to be roses. Like at some point in time, some kid's going to be nasty, some kid's going to say something, and you just got to realize that you rise above it and you don't let it affect you. So that's the biggest thing that we've seen is going back to school right now. We're in week 2 of school, and my middle daughter going into kindergarten. This is the first time she's really been in a situation like that. She's been to preschool before that, but just letting her kind of grow up a little bit on her own as much as you can a 5-year-old.
Yo, I think that roses is a perfect analogy for children. I don't know if you've ever heard this, gentlemen, but every rose has its thorn. I mean, you try to grab onto like it's the most beautiful thing you ever seen, but you grab on enough, man, you're gonna cut yourself up. It's they're a lot. But I think it's great that Brad's here because he's a girl dad, and we just don't have like a lot of that representation. We got James who has girls, right? Yes, Nick.
What? Yes, James has girls, and
James has girls.
Alex has a girl.
Oh, right. Yeah, but it's a twin, so that's different. I'm not fucking around. But yeah, so I mean, no, I love Alex, but no, Alex's twins, didn't they like run into each other at full speed?
Oh my god, yeah, in the middle of the episode, I guess his kids just ran like full speed flat into each other and just
like the Olympics,
forehead to forehead. Yeah. And he had to drop off the episode. There was a casualty of war going on in his living room, apparently. So,
so good.
But
yeah, before we had like our youngest daughter, who's now 1.5, before we found out the gender, obviously a part of me always wanted, you know, a boy. Like, you know, I want to throw the ball, I want to play catch, which I found that I get to do that with my daughters too. But my wife asked me, she was like, you know, do you want a boy or, you know, would you rather have another girl? And I told her, I was like, not to sound cocky, but we kind of got the girl thing down a little bit. You know, if we throw a boy into the mix, it might just mess up the whole dynamic. So other than the fact that I'm grossly outnumbered with all the females in the house, including a dog, you know, I love it. I wouldn't have it any other way, truthfully.
Oh, female dogs are so. I'll do a whole show on that. Yo, I'm never getting a male dog again. I love my dogs, but dude, I've had both. Like I've had dogs all my life. I had a dog when I was like 3, to make me not afraid of animals, essentially. So like grew up with her, and then I had a boy dog, Brewski, when I was like 15. There was like a break in there.
Classic.
Oh yeah. Yeah. So like he was a boy and he was a pug, man. He was so fucking stubborn. Like he like to his dying day in Christmas time, dude, because he was like moderately paper trained. He'd take a shit on like Christmas presents like at like 8 years old because he was paper trained and he thought it was paper. Like Nah, and I got a girl dog. So
Female dogs do it too, though. They just wait till they're like 15 years old, like my dog, and now she just thinks the whole
so easy.
Downstairs is her bathroom.
No, well, yeah, when they're old, you can't judge.
She
them,
is way sweeter than any of the male dogs I've owned.
They're so much smarter, and they can pick up on the potty training, and they don't. They don't like jump on your guests quite.
Well,
as
I don't know
bad.
about that either. My dog was batshit
actually
crazy
no.
when
My
she was younger.
my sister has a girl dog, and she's wild. So but in my
they are
estimation,
calmer in general.
Although they leave that yellow stain on your lawn. That's a girl dog thing right there. Fact.
Oh, it's any fucking dog.
We've gone through like both extremes.
What's that? The male and female dogs?
Yeah, I mean, we went from like a 10-year-old English bulldog that was a male dog to now a female lab puppy, and so it's like opposite ends of the spectrum. You know, the bulldog just kind of like laid around, and now we've got, you know, a female puppy just running around the entire house chewing everything up.
Yep.
My wife wants a fucking corgi.
They are what they are. Yeah, man. But
man.
Corgis are corgis are pricks. My wife's friend has a corgi, and that thing comes over and yaps. She chewed up
they are fucking yapping. Well, we have a beagle mix now, though. You ever heard of beagle fucking bark?
Yes, I have. My dogs are a quarter beagle.
The shrillest little bark I've ever heard. Hate it.
No, that's a howl. They howl.
It's like a howl. I don't know how to explain it, but you know what a beagle bark is. Exactly.
They're hound dogs. They're hound dogs, dude. No, yeah. And they bark at everything, and their nose is to the ground at all times. They have the strongest noses in the dog world.
So our poor dog Roxy, she's coming up on, I think, 16 years old.
Good for her. Cheers.
And
cheers to that.
Prior to my wife bringing home a 15 fucking pound rabbit, our agreement was when Roxy passes away and moves on to the afterlife that we could look into getting a corgi. And then she brought this fucking rabbit home without ladies.
Dude, it showed up at 15 pounds. You didn't even get like the little rabbit.
That is shit that your wife needs to talk with you about. You don't just bring a fucking giant rabbit home. And you have your cute son come through the door first and say, "Daddy, we brought a rabbit home." And she's like, "Oh, it'll be fine because exactly." But anyway, now she's all pissed because we can't get a fucking corgi. And I was like, well, you chose a rabbit instead of a fucking corgi. So,
dude, rabbits live for like ever, don't they?
Nah, they actually do. Well, wild rabbits live longer than like these. It's a French lop is the rabbit we have. And she's a big bone, like 15-pound rabbit with big old ears. But before that, my wife had a smaller lion head rabbit. So she's always had rabbits. Her dad's allergic to like cats and dogs, I think. So they've had rabbits in their house.
So I mean,
I think they only live like 10 years on average is like about what they get, I think. Which some dogs live that same amount of time. So
yeah,
curious about so many things. I want to let Brad be curious. What were you asking there?
No, so if you bring a rabbit home, like, do you treat it like a dog? Like, do you play with it? Like, what do you do? Or is it an outside animal?
She's inside. So when I was a kid, we had outside rabbits, and they lived in a hutch. But this rabbit, she stays inside. We bought this big, I hate to call it a cage, but it's essentially like an open top dog kennel is what it was made to be. And we ordered it off Amazon. It's got little sections. You can make it as big as you fucking want. And so she's got like, it's probably like 6 feet long by about 4 feet deep. And she's got that whole little area to hop around. She shits in a litter box sometimes. She still gets little turds everywhere. But when we're home, we just open the gate and she comes out, and for whatever reason, my dog is terrified of the fucking rabbit. Maybe it's because it's half the size of her.
Oh my God.
But my dog wants nothing to do with her.
Can we talk about that? If so the rabbit came home at 15 pounds, how big was this rabbit?
No, she came home at like 8 or 9 pounds, I think.
Okay, and the beagle is how old?
She's
At that-
she's
at
coming
that
up on
point?
6. Like just shy of 15 years at that point. We've only had the
dude,
rabbit just a little over a year.
if that
Yeah, she's like,
beagle
what the fuck is
younger,
this chew
dude,
toy that's hopping around?
You're gonna start with a rabbit and a beagle, and then you just have a beagle. Like,
Yeah.
if that
No.
dog was older, so I would not. I mean, the rabbit is so massive at this point that it basically rules the roost. So you
So-
could probably get a corgi, and the corgi would be
Well,
like, "Oh shit,
It's
look
just
at this
a concept.
motherfucker."
Like right now, I have to clean the fucking rabbit cage. My wife will do it, but I mean, it's just fur and little shitballs. When we moved out of our old house, when we sold it, because she had her other
Dingleberries?
rabbit there, dude, you will find fucking rabbit turds just everywhere. Because when they hop, they fucking kick them everywhere, and they just poop. And it's not like a dog shit. Like even if you step on it, it's just like dried. All they eat is fucking fiber.
Yeah,
So it's just like a
Can I-
dry little fiber ball of hay or whatever the fuck they eat.
That's
So
right.
that's not terrible, but you will find just little fucking shit pellets of rabbit shit everywhere.
yeah.
And that's what annoys
we-
me. And it sheds like a motherfucker.
One request.
Yeah.
One request, and I'll let you go on with the shedding. Can we name the episode "Combing Rabbit Dingleberries"?
Fuck rabbits.
Could we do that?
You don't have to comb them though.
No
Occasionally,
combing?
if they've got like something digestive going on, they'll get a little nasty butt. And
Diarrhea.
she's got a
Diarrhea.
Well, they don't get diarrhea, but their little butts just get nasty. And so my wife will have to
Sounds
like
great.
take it to the bathroom,
combs.
sink it. Because you're really not supposed to get rabbits like soaking wet. So you just, because they clean themselves kind of like a cat. They are a
learning
really
so
clean animal, even though our rabbit will be shitting in the litter box while cleaning itself, which to a human is counterproductive. But the rabbit seems to think it's okay.
Cats are
But fucking don't get rabbits, goddammit. They're cute and they hop around but when those motherfuckers just get pissed for no reason and want to bite you, my wife's like, she's just nibbling. And I'm like, no, that like fucking almost drew blood. Like that's not, it fucking hurts. Like maybe you're used to it because you've had rabbits all your life, but that, like my dog doesn't just come over and fucking bite me for no goddamn reason or because it wants attention. Rabbits are just little shits, man. I don't like them. My
Sounds
son
like my
loves
cat.
it, and my wife
My
takes
cat will
really
fucking
cute
do that.
pictures of my son with the rabbit, but I fucking hate rabbits. 10 out of 10 do
Sounds
not
like a
recommend a rabbit for a pet.
No, sounds like a cat, but it's better than a ferret. I think.
Ferrets smell like piss all the time, unless that was just
So
my cousin's ferret.
No. Well, if you don't mess, I mean, I've never had ferrets, but that's the biggest knock on ferrets is the smell. And honestly, to the average person, when they come in your house, if you got dogs, cats, rabbits, anything, your house smells like shit. So I would say
Your nose blind to it all.
at another time, but like olfactory senses, we don't smell our house. Other people smell your house. It's like when you dissect a shark in middle school or whatever. Like after a while, you don't smell dead shark.
I dissected
somebody
frogs. You got
coming
to
in there.
dissect sharks? Fuck, I missed out.
Yeah, I
That's
went to
pretty
rich
cool.
white people school. Yeah. It was
Oh
cool.
man, it must be. Oh shit. What? All right. Anyone else have anything else, or I'll wrap us up? No.
Brad's in.
Wait.
Brad's in. Brad's got my
Yeah,
vote.
man.
I didn't want to cut him off. Yeah, guys. So we'll keep this one short and sweet. Because it's been a hot minute since we released the episode. But B, we really just wanted to have Brad on here, let you guys have a chance to meet him. And then stay tuned because we've got 2 other dads that we brought on that'll be in some other future episodes. But thanks for hanging out with us as always. Like, subscribe, check out the Facebook group, and we will catch you on the next one. See ya.
See you.